Hello dear students, I am Pinas Kavrana, your social studies teacher. Now because of the pandemic we will have to begin our year in this way of learning. Hoping to resume back with our regular ways as soon as possible, let us begin with the first chapter of geography, that is resources. In this chapter we will learn about resources. We will discover their types, characteristics and utility. By the end of the chapter, we will also be able to answer that where do we get these resources from and how can we conserve them to have a better future. Now, as you can see here in this slide, you can see some of the basic resources that we utilize to satisfy our daily requirements. For example, the first one is water. Water is something you drink when you're thirsty. You use it to cook, you use it to bathe, you use it for innumerable things in your daily life. And thus, when something is utilized by us to satisfy our needs, it becomes a resource. And thus, I can call water as a resource. Similarly, there are oils, forests, rocks, minerals, soils, animals, which are all utilized by us to satisfy our requirement at certain point or for certain reasons, and that is why they are all known as resources. Now moving on to the types of resources, we see there are two basic types of resources, that are natural resources and man-made resources. If I consider in a broader sense of this, I can say that human beings are also a resource as they have some utility in them. I can also say that humans are the ones that make every other resources usable. And so human beings are also a resource. In this slide you will see natural resources are something that is provided by the nature. We have adequate of it because we do not have to do anything to extract them. We have been gifted by God these kind of resources. The examples are air, water, petroleum. Second is man-made resources. Man-made resources are resources that have been created by human beings, with the help of the natural resources to an extent. And the examples are machines, vehicles, roads. Third resource, which is not there in the slide, is of course the human resource that we will see in the later part of the chapter. So, after the introduction, what do we understand over here? The basic question that comes to my mind is, what is the meaning of resources? The answer is very clear. Anything that can be used to satisfy our need is a resource. There are almost unlimited examples on this planet for the statement. Let us go through some basic examples. The first example that I gave in the beginning of this chapter was water. Water is something you drink when you're thirsty. The next one is a rickshaw. I can call a rickshaw also as a resource because it helps you go to a place. So, water, rickshaw, and many more things like this, which helps you in some or the other ways to satisfy your requirements at that particular time, is a resource. Now, there is something in common in all of these examples, and that is the utility. The utility of these things, the utility of the resources. Therefore, utility and usability is what makes an object a resource. Now, the next thing is that anything becomes a resource when they have a value. For example, when you are learning at school from the books, then definitely there is some value of it. Here, your books is the resource, and it becomes a resource because it is giving you some knowledge, and the knowledge is valuable. I hope I am making my point clear. This is the first page of your chapter. We will read this and you can understand my point in a better way then. Mona and Raju were helping Amma to clean their house. Look at all these things: clothes, utensils, food grains, combs, this bottle of honey, books. Each of these has a use, said Mona. That is why they are important, said Amma. These are resources. What is a resource? Was Raju's question to Amma. Anything that can be used to satisfy a need is a resource, replied Amma. Look around you and observe. You will be able to identify many types of resources. The water that you drink when you are thirsty, the electricity you use in your house, the rickshaw you use to go to school from home, the textbook you will use to study are all resources. Your father has prepared a tasty snack for you. The fresh vegetables he has used is also a resources. So from the first paragraph that we have read, we can very clearly interpret that a resource is something, is an object which we use to satisfy our requirements. For example, if you want knowledge, you have to use a resource, that is books. If you are thirsty, if you want to fulfill your thirst, you will have to use a resource, that is water. So basically, resource is something that is used by everybody to fulfill their requirements or to satisfy their needs. Now, resource is a broad term. We'll go to the second paragraph. Water, electricity, rickshaw, vegetable and textbook have something in common. They have all been used by you, so they have utility. Utility or usability is something what makes an object or a substance a resource. Now, very of course, when I tell the definition of resources, that resources is something that we use when to fulfill our requirements, it becomes very obvious that the resource that we are using has some usability. For example, if I have water as a resource in my house, but I am not thirsty, okay, rather I want knowledge, can I use water for my knowledge purpose? No, right? So that is why the resources that have usability or utility, that can only be considered as a resource to you at that particular time. How does something become a resource then? Now this is a very important question over here. How do you think that something can become a resource? Raju wanted to know. Amma told the children that things become resources only when they have a value. It is its use or utility gives it a value. Sorry. All resources have some value, said Amma. Now, apart from the fact that resources are used for fulfilling our requirements, resources have usability or utility, but one thing that is for sure is that every resources you come across is going to have a value. Unless and until it doesn't have a value, it is not going to make any sense to you. Now, value means worth. Worth can be both economic or non-economic. For example, if you need a resource to build up some furniture at your house, right, you will have to pay for it. So that is an economic resource, valuable, economically valuable resource. Next, for example, if you want to soothe your mind, feel happy by looking at some beautiful flowers in the garden, you're definitely not going to pay anything for it. There are some places where you might pay a nominal amount, but then that is different. You are not going to pay a huge amount to enjoy yourself or to have a beautiful scene in front of you. So that comes under non-economic valuable resource. So the first part of the first page of the chapter, these are the points that we can summarize. First thing is, anything that is used to satisfy our needs is a resource. Okay. Second is, an object's utility and usability makes it a resource. For example, this is also we have seen, if a thing, if an object is not if it cannot be used, it will not be a resource for you at that particular time. Maybe you can use it later on, but for that period of time it is of course not a resource valuable to you. Third, usability and utility gives it a value. Okay. Fourth, value means worth. Worth can be economic or non-economic. Some resources get economically valuable with time. Now, to make this fifth point clear, we can say that, for example, the example given in your book is your grandma. She has some remedies. So whenever you have cold, you might have heard your grandma asking you to make some gada or something and drink. Okay? She will always come up with some home remedies. Now, presently, if I genuinely speak, the remedies are of no economical worth, because you don't pay your grandma for the remedies that she gives you to cure your cold. But if you get a patent of it, if you make tablets of it, or if you start selling them, of course you are going to get economical benefit. And that is when your grandma's remedy will become an economically valuable resource with time. Clear? So this was all about our first page. Now we'll move to the second page. Further, time and technology are two important factors that can change substances into resources. Both are related to the needs of the people. People themselves are the most important resources. It is their ideas, knowledge, invention, discoveries that lead to the creation of more resources. Each discovery or inventions leads to many others. The discovery of fire led to the practice of cooking and other processes, while the invention of wheel ultimately resulted in the development of newer modes of transport. The technology to create hydroelectricity has turned energy in fast flowing water into an important resource. What do we here understand from this paragraph is, it is time and technology which can make any resource usable at any point of time in the future. For example, if I tell you, today you have discovered uranium. Your uranium in Ladakh has been discovered. Now today, if you have discovered a resource, it is not really possible for you to have that sufficient technology to start utilizing that resource. What we have to do is, we have to see that both time and technology go hand in hand. You will of course require a lot of technological assistance for making some resource useful to you in the future. Okay, and this is possible only with time. Moving on to the next topic. I hope the previous one is clear. The next is types of resources. As we have already discussed in the beginning of this chapter, that there are three types of resources. They are natural, human made, and human beings themselves. Now, what are natural resources? Resources that are drawn from nature and used without much modification are called natural resources. The air we breathe, the water in our rivers and lakes, the soils, minerals are all natural resources. Many of these resources are free gifts of nature and can be used directly. In some cases, tools and technologies may be needed to use a natural resource in the best possible way. Okay, with the first paragraph I can conclude that a natural resource is something that is very easily understandable. It is something that we get from the nature itself. It is gift of nature, a gift of God to us. We have it in abundance, and we really do not require a lot of tools and technologies to make that resource useful to us. Okay, and that is why they are called natural resources. Natural resources are classified into different groups depending upon three things. Now, natural resources, I'm repeating, natural resources can be classified into different three groups. Okay? Depending upon what? First one is level of development and use. Second is depending on the origin. Third is depending on the stock and distribution. Now we'll discuss the first one. On the basis of their development and use, resources can be classified into two groups, that is actual and potential resource. Now I am repeating this again. We have seen that natural resources can be divided into groups, into three groups. Okay, any resource that we get from the nature is a natural resource, and these natural resources can be divided in three groups depending on three factors. The first factor is the level of development and use. In the level of development and use, the natural resources can be divided into actual resource and potential resource. Okay, now firstly, what is an actual resource? Actual resources are those resources whose quantity is known. These resources are being used in present. They are the rich deposits of coal in rural region of Germany, the petroleum in the West Asia, the dark soils of the Deccan Plateau in Maharashtra are all actual resources. Okay, so actual resources are basically what? Whose quantity is known to us. We know we have this much of resources, and so it's an actual resource. We are also using that resource in the present days, and so it's an actual resource. Whereas potential resource is something very opposite. Here we will not know the quantity of the resource, like how much quantity I have of this particular resource, I don't know. So it's a potential resource. Then I am probably not using in the present day also, and so it's a potential resource. Let's read this. Potential resources are those whose entire quantity may not be known, and these are not being used at present. Now to summarize the second page, we will see that first thing, time and technology are two important factors that can change a substance into a resource. I am repeating this. With time and with proper technology, you can make an object or a substance a resource. Okay? People themselves are the most important resource. People's ideas, knowledge, inventions and discoveries leads to creation of more resources. Each discovery leads to many other discoveries. These are some of the things that we understood in the earlier paragraph. Then we also learned this. There are three types of resources. They are natural, human made and human resource. Resources that we get from nature are natural resources. Natural resources can be divided into categories based on the level of origin, use and development, stock and distribution. So these are the things that we understood in the second page. Okay. Now, natural resource, the first category that we understood was actual and potential resource. Here we have the second category, and that is based on development and use. Depending on this category, it is divided into actual and potential. This is the first one that we learned. A summary of it. In actual resource, the quantity is known, while in potential resource, the quantity is not known. Actual is used in present. For example, the deposits of coal and the dark soil of Deccan, they are being used right now. They are being used today. So they are all the actual resources. Potential resources are not used in present. For example, as I had said, uranium has been found in Ladakh, but we really do not have the appropriate technology to use uranium. And unless and until I cannot use a substance, I cannot call it a resource. Okay, but we still know that it could be usable to us at a future point of time, and so I will mark it as a potential resource. All right. Next thing is based on resources based on distribution and origin. Based on origin, the resources can be biotic resource and abiotic resource. I repeat, based on origin, the resources can be biotic and abiotic. Biotic resources are resources that we get from living organisms like plants, animals, all the living organisms that provide us some sort of resources that can be useful to us to satisfy our requirements at that particular period of time are biotic resources. Next is abiotic resources which we get from non-living organisms like soil, rock, minerals and many more like this. Next is third one is based on distribution. Since I couldn't make 3 columns, I have in the second column given you 2 types of resources. Third one is based on distribution. The resources can be ubiquitous resource or localized resource. Ubiquitous are found everywhere. For example, the most common example is of course air. Air is a resource that you can find everywhere and thus it's ubiquitous. Localized resources, as the name itself suggests, are resources that are found in certain places. For example, iron ore. Definitely if you dig your room out, you are not going to find any iron ore because it is a localized resource. Okay, it will be found at certain places only. One more thing that we can learn with the distribution of these resources is this distribution. It depends on terrains, climates, altitudes and many other things like this, and all these things we all know is very unequal, and so these factors also differ a lot. Third page. As you can see, in the third page we have done this based on origin. We have also done based on distribution resources. What we have to do right now is renewable, non-renewable resources. Okay. Natural resources can be broadly categorized into renewable and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are those which get renewed or replenished quickly. Some of these are unlimited and are not affected by human activities such as solar and wind energy. Yet careless use of certain renewable resources like water, soil and forest can affect their stock. Water seems to be an unlimited renewable resource, but shortage and drying up of natural resource is a major problem in many parts of the world today. Okay. Further, resources, they can be broadly categorized into 2 major big categories, and that is renewable or non-renewable. Now this is something that is very, of course, we have 2 types of resources and we have always heard about this. The first one is the renewable resources and the second one is the non-renewable resources. If I talk about the renewable resource, I can say that renewable, the name itself suggests that a resource that can get itself renewed, okay, is a renewable resource. Now these kind of resource, it is not very much affected by human activities. The chances of this resources coming to an end is also very low because we have got this in abundance, and the best part is the resources, they can renew themselves. Okay, solar energy, it will never come to an end. The sun will never stop rising. Wind energy, of course, the wind is never going to stop blowing. Wind energy is also a renewable resource. So these were some of the examples. The next is non-renewable resource. Now non-renewable resource is a very big problem to our world that is being faced right now. Non-renewable resources are those which have limited stock. Once the stock is exhausted, it may take thousands of years to be renewed or replenished. Since this period is much more than human lifespans, thus they are called non-renewable resources. Second one is non-renewable resources. इसमें एग्जाम्पल्स आर कोल, पेट्रोलियम, नेचुरल गैस एंड ऑल दिस. Basically, they also get themselves renewed, but they take thousands and thousands of years to get renewed. And of course, we human beings can hardly live for more than 100 years, and this 1,000 year is a very long, lifespan for us and for our family members. And that is why we consider this as a non-renewable resource, because of course we are not going to see this resource getting renewed at any point of time in your future. So you will say that the resource is non-renewable. Non-renewable resources need to be utilized in a very calculative and aware manner, because once you run out of these resources, you can sit rest assured for the next 1,000 years to get back the resources again, which is practically not possible. We and you are not going to stay alive till the next 1,000 years. So from this slide, from that page of third, we get these things that we understood. Renewable resource, first point, those can be renewed and replenished quickly. Some of them aren't affected by human activities. Shortage or drying up is a huge problem though. Examples are solar energy, wind energy, water energy. Next, non-renewable resources are those which are limited. Once exhausted, it may take thousands of years to be renewed. Since this span is longer than human life, they are called non-renewable resources. Example, coal, water, coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc. I hope you have understood this part 1 of our chapter. In the next class, we'll be continuing with the other part of the chapter.